Summer just started and I really love this time of year because I love seeing all the people that are posting their graduation pictures. Proud parents or maybe kids are posting their own graduation pictures. They call graduation commencement. Commencement is not the end. It means it's the beginning of something. And that's what I think is so cool. When people are graduating, it could be high school, it could be college even. They're about to start a new chapter in their life. So if you're graduating right now or you have a child that has just graduated, this is one of the best times for you to start thinking about money differently, because the biggest advantage that young people have is not a high income yet, it's time. And if they can understand how to budget and save and invest early, they can put themselves in a much better position. Hi, welcome to Invest with Jim. I am Jim. I'm an investor and a real estate agent here in Las Vegas. And with graduation season here, I wanted to talk about what young people should understand. Because a lot of people graduate and then they get a job, but they were never really taught what to do with the money. They don't know how to manage money and eventually start investing and having your money work for you. So the first thing, step number one, is have financial awareness of where you are. If you just graduated, I'm not sure if you have a job yet or you plan on getting a job, but once you get a job, you should understand how much you really are making. What is your actual net take-home pay? Because that's what you really actually get to work with. And more importantly, you have to know your budget as well too. So now that you know how much money is coming in, you have to know how much money is going out. What are your financial obligations, or what are your monthly expenses? Meaning, do you have to pay for your own cell phone? Do you have to pay for your own gym membership? Do you have other subscriptions? Are you going to go get your own place right away? Or are you going to stay at home for a little while? Because if you rent your own place, you have to start thinking about utility bills, power bills, water bills. Or are you considering staying at home for a little while? It's not a bad idea, because you can really save more money that way. So I'm going to take it back to when I just graduated high school. I think I was pretty financially responsible. I think my parents raised me very frugal, but I didn't really have a real budget. I just knew not to let my account go negative, but I didn't have any real structure. If I was 18 and just graduated, this is what I would do differently right now. Today, we have all these great tools like apps. You should be using all these tools because they're very helpful and they're very easy. You should go download like a Rocket Money or something like that. So you see all the money coming in, all the money going out, and it's very easy to just see it on your phone. And another thing I would do, I would make saving money a non-negotiable, just like a bill, like rent or a car payment. Because before, if I had money in the account, I thought I was good, but I think I would be more systematic and say, hey, you know what? I took home $1,000 this month. I would save $100 or $200 at least of that every month, and that's another bill. You're just starting life right now as an adult. If you get a job and then you start this habit of, I'm going to spend all my money every month, you're building the habit of living a paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. What you start now at 18, it's going to carry with you into your 20s and your 30s if you start like that now. But if you make a good habit of always saving money and never spending more than you actually make, then you're going to build a good habit of a saver and then eventually an investor, and you're going to become rich in the future. Which leads us to number two, you have to start building savings because you're 18. You don't know what you want yet, but I guarantee it's probably going to require some money. Like the new iPhone might be coming out, or you might want to save up and get a car. You might want to save up and move out of your parents' house and get your own place, or you might want to go to EDC. That costs a lot of money these days too. So have savings so when things come up, you have funds to consider if you want to spend that money. So when I was 18, I guess the things I did right is I had a checking account and I had a savings account. If I had a lot of money in my checking account, I'd move some money over to my savings. I think it was set up that my savings was like an overdraft protection for my checking. I didn't have a high yield savings account. I just had a regular paid hardly any interest savings account at like Wells Fargo. If I was you and I'm 18 now, I would definitely have that checking account to pay bills out of, but I would have a high yield savings account that is actually generating real interest for you. And you can get these high yield savings accounts. There's all types of banks online, SoFi, Ally, American Express, Discover, BMO. There's all types of online banks where you can put some money in there and you're going to make anywhere from 3 to 4% interest on it. So I mean, it's better than nothing, and it's going to show you how your money should be making money for you. Because if you leave it in that 0.01 interest savings account, you're not going to make any money. I know a lot of people get a lot of money during graduation. So if you took $1,000, $2,000 and you put it in a high yield savings account and you don't touch it, year after year, it's going to keep growing for you too. So I highly encourage you to do this. Number three might be the most important tip yet, and that is to avoid bad debt. As an 18-year-old, you're going to be bombarded with credit card offers. They're going to say, hey, you qualify for $500, $1,000. As an 18-year-old, I remember I'm like, oh, cool, let me sign up for that too. But you have to be careful. This is not free money. You have to pay this money back. And not to mention that some of these newer credit cards have really high interest rates, like 20 to 30%. Let's just say, for example, example, you had a $500 credit card and you charged $500 for it. At 20% interest, you're paying $100 in interest just for borrowing that $500. You're making the minimum payment of $50. Can you see why you're never gonna pay that off and how it's just gonna keep growing? You're just gonna keep paying interest on this $500 that you charged at one time? Do not do that. That's the biggest mistake. I do want you to get a credit card, but know that you have to pay this back. I would encourage you not to spend more than you actually have that you're able to pay off every month. So I'll look back to, as an 18-year-old, I had a secured credit card. It was a $500 limit. I would just get gas on it. I'd pay it off every month. It helped me build credit. If I could go back, tell my younger self what to look out for with credit cards, I would be really aware of annual fees. Most credit cards will have some type of annual fee. You also want to make sure what the interest that you're going to be paying for this is too. Another thing that I would have told my younger self is I would have asked for credit limit increases more frequently, actually, because I did not understand credit utilization right away. I had a $500 credit card, and if I charged up to $300, I felt like I was safe because I didn't max it out or anything like that. But what I didn't realize is $300 is 60% of the $500. That's considered high utilization, and that actually hurts my credit score. So if you're charging up to the limit, you're really hurting your credit that way. You're not building credit, you're actually hurting your credit because you're telling the credit card companies that you will use all the way to the max of the credit that you're offered to you. That's why I say I would have told my younger self to ask for credit limit increases, because if I would have just made the $500 credit limit a $1,000 limit and I'm still charging that $300, now I'm only using 30%. If I'm using 30% and I'm paying that off regularly, that's gonna really increase my credit score a lot, which is only gonna help me in the future if I need to finance cars or a house or something like that. Another thing I would have done differently, I would have told myself, credit's not all bad. My parents were kind of old school. They're like, don't use credit, only have one credit card. No, I probably would have opened at least another credit card just to start building my credit more. Doesn't mean that I have to spend on that credit card, but maybe just like a little charge here and there that I pay off every month. That's gonna help me build my credit score in the future. If your parents are like my parents and are like, just save money in cash underneath the mattress, it's not a smart way of doing things in this modern age. It's not some Dave Ramsey stuff. We're not putting money in jars. You need to build your credit because it's gonna help you to pay less interest when you finance things in the future. I remember the first credit card that I applied for after that secured credit card was actually when I was 21. I was coming to Las Vegas to visit, and I was at what used to be called McCarran Airport. I was at the Southwest airline gate, and there was a booth, and they were saying, hey, if you apply for this credit card, you can earn points towards free rewards. 21-year-old me said, I want more free trips to Vegas, so I signed up for this credit card. I still actually have this credit card, believe it or not, and I've been racking up Southwest points ever since. This could be something that you should be doing, is learning how to use credit to your own advantage. If you get some type of credit card that offers some type of rewards, it could be cash back, it could be points towards travel or hotel. And if you're charging regular things like gas or certain bills that you can pay with a credit card and you pay it off every month right away, you're gonna start building a lot of points there too. So now you're using credit, it's building your credit score, and now you get a little reward at the end of the day too. So that is the way you should be looking at credit cards. Let's talk about student debt too. I think a lot of young people that are starting college, they think I can get a student loan and I don't even have to pay them off until I'm done with school. Be careful with that because it is debt. You do have to pay it back. And when you don't pay it off during your whole time in school, it can start accumulating very, very fast. You can say, oh, 10, 20,000, but after you're done with your degree, you might owe like 100,000 or something like that. And some of you may not finish school. You're gonna have to start paying that right away. So be careful with that and pick your school based on what you can actually afford and what you wanna study. Don't go to some expensive private religious college just because so-and-so's going there from your class. I've heard of a lot of kids here in Vegas, they'll go to maybe CSN and get their generals out of the way, and then they'll go to UNLV and then finally graduate and get their degree from there too. That's a very smart and affordable way to do things. You're not accumulating all the student debt, and that's something that is gonna put you behind when you're building wealth as well too. You might think that you're young, you have a bunch of time, but with starting off with a bunch of debt is usually not the way to build wealth. Number 4 is to start investing if you've made it this far. As an 18-year-old, I wanted to invest in the future, but I definitely was not ready for it yet. And I don't think you should start thinking like that. I don't think you should start thinking about day trading right away. Unless you're skilled and you have a strategy or something like that, you should think about investing slowly and steadily. So when I got my first job from a big employer that offered a 401k type program, I participated in that. My employer offered me a 3% match on everything that I contributed towards this 401k. So I did. I'm like, you know what? I understood that me putting in 3% means I get matched 3%. That's free money. I like free money. I did that, but what I would have done differently is I would have been more aware of how those funds were invested in that 401k. because I didn't know too much and I just took the easy road and I said, I'm just gonna use the target date fund. I'll be 60 in 2040. I'll do the target date fund of 2040 and let them manage it for me. But in hindsight, when I look at it, I think the target date fund underperformed if I would have just invested it in an index fund that kind of tracked the S&P 500, like a VOO or QQQ. These index funds way outperformed the target date funds for me. So I would have done that a little differently there, but I would have definitely started the contributions on the 401k if I had a job with an employer that offered a match. That's for sure. And I know if you're 18, you just graduated high school, you probably don't make a lot of money at the job already too. And you might be thinking, I make $30,000 a year. 3% of that is only $900. It's $900 gonna do for me? Well, over time, it really starts compounding because you're young and you have a long time to let compound growth happen for you. And what I mean by that is every dollar that you're investing right now as an 18-year-old, by the time you're like 60, it's probably gonna be like 75x your money. So let's just say you saved $1,000. Well, by the time you're ready to retire, it's gonna be like $75,000. So do the math there. Here's a story that maybe will help you relate to is my wife. So when we had our second child, we decided she'd be a stay-at-home mom. So she left her work and she had a 401k that she had been contributing to during her 20s. She had about 30,000 in there. What we did was we rolled over that 401k into an IRA for her because she no longer worked. 10 years later now, that 30,000 is almost 200,000 now. Start saving early and it just grows. You're not working for all the money is working for you right now. You have to understand that. That's what investing is about. And speaking about Roth IRAs, I would have started one much sooner. To be honest with you, I didn't start a Roth IRA until I was 30 years old. I left 12 years off the table. If I would have started when I was 18, it would have grew so much, but I didn't get serious about it until I got married. I was like, oh, I better start these things now. So it's a healthy amount now, but it could have been way healthier, I can tell you that. And if you're 18 now and you dream about financial freedom in the future, this is something that you must do right now. Let the compounding growth work for you now. It doesn't matter how little you can invest because you look 10 or 20 years in the future, it's gonna be shocking to you how much that grows into. And then when you're 30 and 40 years in the future where you can start using this money, wow, you're gonna be like, I'm so glad I did that back then. Thanks, younger me. Number 5, I'm gonna talk about what parents can do to help. I'm a parent. What am I doing right now? My oldest son is a freshman in high school. One of the things I've done recently for him is I added him as an authorized user on a credit card of mine. I wanna help build credit for him now that he's still young. I let him charge a couple things. He pays it off. It's just helping him build credit. But before the credit card, I also opened both my sons like a checking account and a savings account. One account that they can spend a little money from, and then another account that's just all about savings. The whole point of that was to show them how money comes in and out because they have apps now on their phones where they can see this is how much is in my savings. They'll ask me, hey dad, can you transfer some money into my spending account or my savings? And we'll talk about it. So at least it's a mindful decision every time. There's times where they've asked me and then they look at their balance, realize, you know what, I actually don't want to spend money on that. That's a skill that they're developing now. Another thing I did is I opened a youth fidelity account. It's for investing. I put a little money in there just to let them start out. I let them choose the stocks that they wanted to invest in. So they looked at big headline type tech stuff like SoFi Bank and Nvidia. I can tell you their Nvidia is doing really well, but the SoFi Bank stock didn't do so well because the crypto markets were underperforming. So those tanked as well too. One thing I did teach them about was index funds. I told them about the good old VOO and QQQ and how they might not grow fast, but they're steady growers over time. When we look at their Fidelity account from time to time, they always look at it and they're like, wow, SoFi is still down. Nvidia is still good, but hey, look at QQQ. It just keeps growing. Maybe we'll just put more money in that is what they said. I was like, oh, cool. You're learning about investing. One more thing that I do with this Fidelity account with them, if they come up on some money, maybe it's for birthdays or Christmas or Chinese New Year, I always tell them, do you want to invest some of that money? I tell them that I will match them whatever they put into this account. If they want to put 50 bucks in, I'll match you that too. I guess I wanted to train them about the 401k thing. If people are offering you a free match, you take that match every time. I'm just trying to help them get into understanding investing more so they can have financial freedom in their future. And finally, wouldn't be Invest with Jim if I didn't talk about some real estate. This is a really good opportunity that I'm thinking about, which you, if you're a parent, you should think about for your kids. My kids talk about going to college. They talk about going out of state somewhere even. So I always think to myself, when I was going to college, I paid rent the whole time for my whole 5 years there. Yes, I was on a 5-year plan. But here's the thing, I paid rent for all those years and it was nothing to show for at the end. What I think I want to do is if my kids end up going to school out of state, I would talk to them seriously about what if I helped you, like maybe co-sign or help with the down or something like that, get into a property. property, because if my kid's buying a property, they would qualify for like a FHA mortgage. It's only 3.5% down. I could help co-sign for that as their parent with my credit and things like that. And I hope that what they would do is get a house, maybe just live in one of the rooms, rent out the other 2 rooms. Let's just say the mortgage is $2,500. Maybe they could rent it out to roommates for say $1,000 each. Now my kid will be able to live in the house at a big discounted rent, and now they're gonna learn responsibilities of home ownership. There is maintenance involved. There are deadbeat tenants sometimes that you have to deal with. In some ways, I'm kind of teaching them if they want to be a landlord in the future and how all that works. And what I'm hoping by the end of all this is, let's say they graduate in 4 years or 6 years. By the end of that time, I would like to think that the mortgage balance would have been paid down a little bit, and hopefully it's in a market where it's appreciated some. And then if they're graduated from school and they want to move out of that city, I mean, they could keep it as a rental property, or they could sell it, take the capital gains and be tax exempt from that because it was their primary home. And then they can roll it into their next property where they end up finding employment or whatever they end up doing in the next phase of their life. Not to mention, I expect my kids to at least work part-time in college too. So they're gonna see the tax advantages of owning a house too, because they're going to be able to deduct all that mortgage interest that's being paid really in essence by the roommates. And now they're gonna get a big tax return every year, because if you're able to write off most of your mortgage interest to offset that income, your kid's probably gonna get a really big tax return, and they're gonna learn taxation. I know it's a lot of information, but you don't need to do it all at once. Start with the basics, learn the budget, make the habit of not living paycheck to paycheck early, and then start having your money work for you by way of high yield savings or Roth IRAs or employee matching 401ks. Start those things. Avoid the bad debt at all costs. The credit cards are a trap. I know too many people that have this story about, I didn't know what I was doing when I was 18 and I got in bad credit and now I'm paying high interest for the rest of my life. Can't catch back up. If you get nothing from this video, that should be what you get. If you're graduating or if your kids are graduating and you want to sit down and come up with a plan, be sure to reach out to me. You can call the number on the screen or schedule an appointment at the link below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more finance and investing content, and share this video with somebody who you know that just graduated, or maybe their kid just graduated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one, and congrats again to all y'all.